That's right. Okay, everybody here. Everybody ready to rock and roll? Let's go. Let's get down to business. Let's do it. Okay, so hi Evelyn, how are you? Good to see you here. Let me first try to switch the camera position here. So this is our class about the modal verbs, right? Let's take a look at this class here, because today we are going to learn a little bit more about modal verbs, and I'm pretty sure you are going to learn with me as well. So basically, let me write this here. Modal. Look at this. Modal verbs. Oh yes, modal verbs. Let's review what we talked about last class about the modal verbs, guys. Let's try to remember what we saw on our last class. Let me try to make this a little bit more like this, because then you can actually see what I'm writing. Yes, like this. Maybe if I push this a little bit further right here, so just I can give a little bit of style for this video. What's up, guys? Good to see everybody here. This video will be a 10-minute video, so if you want to stay here with me, that's going to be amazing. So let me write this here. Modal verb will. Today we're going to talk about will. Okay, so last week, we talked about modal verbs, and we talked about the 3 nevers. I don't know if you remember that, but we did talk about it. The 3 nevers of the modal verb world, guys. And the first never, I don't know if you remember, probably, I don't know. The first never is a very good never, guys. Number 1, I'm gonna write here for you. Never, this is important, never use to. Okay, this is an important rule about modal verbs. You never use to, either before or after a modal verb. Can you believe that? For example, if I have a normal verb would be the verb like, for instance, okay? Modal verb, the verb like here. If I use like and another verb, I have to use to. I am obligated to use to here. I like to play, right? Now, if I use a modal verb, I don't need, never, I don't need to use to. So for instance, I'm gonna use the modal verb can here, or will. I'm gonna use will. I will play. I don't need to say I will to play. You know what I'm saying? I have to use the modal verb and then the verb in the base form. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, 3 nevers. The first never, never use to, right? You remember that? Okay, good. The second never is this one right here. Oh, let me put this right here so it doesn't bother me that much. Okay, the second never, guys, my goodness, let's go. Number 2, never use auxiliaries, guys. Auxiliaries. Never use auxiliaries. For example, again, if I have a normal verb, let's use the verb like again, okay? And I want to use the verb like in the negative, for example, I like to play. If I want to say this sentence here in the negative, I have to use an auxiliary. I need. I don't. Oh, I don't like to play, correct? So the auxiliary is necessary if I have a normal verb. For example, the verb like. Now, if I have a modal verb, I don't. Never use auxiliaries, okay? For example, I'll use the modal verb will again. I will play. Okay? Now, if I want to use this sentence here in the negative, I just transform the modal verb here in the negative form. Let me write it like this so you guys understand what I'm saying. I will not play. You see, it's not necessary for me to use don't, does, doesn't, etc. Crazy, right? Yes, modal verbs. Modal verbs are great. Third, never, guys. No, let's review. Modal verbs, we're talking about modal verbs. And we have the three nevers. Number one, never use to. Number two, never use auxiliaries. And number three, so we can finish here this little quick review. I never conjugate. Look at this. Conjugate the verb. Wow. I never conjugate the verb, guys. Can you believe that? For example, again, if I have a normal verb, let's use the verb like. I like burgers. It's true. I like burgers. If I want to use this sentence here, I like burgers, in the negative, no, not in the negative, but with another subject, for example, he, it's necessary, I need to conjugate the verb, right? He likes burgers, right? With a modal verb, I never conjugate it. Never. For example, I will eat. If I use he, I continue with the same modal verb, guys. Can you believe that? I will eat. Oh, I never conjugate the modal verb and the verb that it's being modified by it. Hey, Safi, how's it going? Good to see you. Okay, my friends. Well, what a beautiful review. Look at this. Modal verbs, three nevers. Never forget this. Number one, never use to with modal verbs. Number two, never use auxiliaries, okay? Number three, never conjugate the verb. That's right. Exactly. Amazing. Incredible. Unbelievable. Outstanding. Yes. And today, I want to talk to you about the modal verb will. So let me write it right here so you guys can have an idea. Modal verb will. Okay, will. Now, I'm going to use the modal verb will, guys, for the future. Okay, so let me write here for you. Use will, okay, to modify. I'm back. Hey, Laura, I miss you too. How are you? Good to see you here. Dyla, Gabi, what's up? Use will to modify, because it's a modal verb, right? To modify the main verb for the future. Look at this. So this is what will is going to do, okay? I'm going to use will in a sentence to modify the main verb for the future. This is what I'm doing when I use will. For example, I I study English. Okay, when I say this sentence here, guys, I study English, do you understand this sentence in the future form? No, right? This sentence here is a fact. This is a fact. So, if it's a fact, this sentence is in the present simple. Good. Now, if I want to modify this verb here, the main verb, for the future, I just have to use will, guys, right here before the verb. I will study English. Can you believe that? Exactly. That's what I do. I use will, and then my verb automatically is being modified for the future form, okay? So I study English, present. I will study English, future. Beautiful. Now, both of these sentences are in the affirmative form. In the negative, I have a very nice contracted form, which is won't, okay? I won't study robotics. First, I have to study English, right? So this is what I do here. I use won't, which is will not, basically. Will not. It's the contracted form, right? Contracted form. Okay, beautiful. If I want to ask a question, you guys know what to do. Get the modal verb, put it in the beginning of the sentence. Will you study English? Simple as that. Remember, guys, the three nevers are very important, okay? And this works with any modal verb. Can, will, could, may, might, should, shall, etc. Never use to. Oh, I'm not using to here. Never use auxiliaries. Look at this. I'm not using auxiliaries here. Oh, in the negative. I don't use don't, doesn't. And the third one, never conjugate the verb, guys. Never conjugate the verb. I don't conjugate the verb here. I don't do this. Look. Study, base form, study, base form, study, base form. And will. Doesn't matter. Okay? That's it, my friends. Awesome. Good to see you here today. Good talking to you guys about modal verbs. That's amazing. First, That's right. Next Wednesday. Oh, Mariana, thank you so much. I appreciate you, okay? Thank you. Next week, I'm going to be here again talking a little bit more about modal verbs with you, okay? So we studied can, now will. I think next week we can probably go for a more difficult one, which is the modal verb should. Yes, we are going to learn about the modal verb should. I hope to see you next week. Every Wednesday I'm here at 2 p.m. Boston time to talk to you about the English language, helping you improve your abilities in the language. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you, Safai. Have a great day. Bye-bye, guys.